a hard couple of weeks for Albany residents. Across the city, at times ranging from 8 a.m. to 4 a.m., citizens have been victims of robberies and assaults in situations that are as frightening as they are astonishing. A man visiting an ATM on his way to work, shots fired again just blocks from where a little girl was murdered on her bicycle less than a year ago. Some of these crimes happen just within blocks or even on this block from this corner, and they radiated into neighborhoods across the city, from Arbor Hill to West Hill to Delaware Avenue. And more often than not, handguns are playing a starring role in the attacks. Unfortunately, the main response that we've heard from the mayor and the police department is that really it's not that bad, that actually crime statistics are down. But people are not comforted by statistics. The man who was pelted with rocks on this very corner isn't less concerned now that he's been told that overall things are better. The parents who sent their son to college here only to bury him at home on Long Island find no consolation in reports that it was worse in past years. And their families, friends, and neighbors are asking, why is Albany off on such a wrong track? And more importantly, how do we get back on the right one? Well, there are steps that we can take, steps that cities across the country have taken to change the way their communities deal with crime and public safety. First, we need a renewed commitment to community policing. In 1994, our city made a commitment to community policing, a philosophy that places emphasis on engaging our citizens, institutions, and businesses in finding solutions to public safety problems. It was a philosophy that was enthusiastically embraced by people across the city who devoted time and effort into building relationships with police officers, establishing neighborhood walk and watches, and serving as their community's eyes and ears. At the time, we were told this is a generational shift, that it will be 10 years before such a system, used successfully in cities across the nation, would reach its potential. 15 years and 5 police chiefs and department changes later, the city has strayed far from that goal. While citizens continue to work to keep their neighborhoods safe, there are fewer and fewer officers assigned to neighborhood beats. There are fewer relationships being established, and there is little effort directed at developing safety solutions at the neighborhood level. We need to return to that effort. Neighborhoods across the city are affected by this surge in street crime, and each one presents unique circumstances that require its own approach. Neighborhoods like this one that are home to a large number of students see potential victims out and alone at late hours of the night, and young perpetrators are able to blend in to the student landscape. Neighborhoods with active commercial districts present different opportunities for crime. And in those neighborhoods where poverty and violence too often intersect, it is even more important that local residents are engaged and involved in finding solutions to the problems. Second, we need to direct stimulus funds toward youth crime prevention efforts. Too many of these crimes are committed by teenagers. Teenagers who are solving adolescent disputes with deadly force. Teenagers growing up in poverty who are using their guns to get iPods and pocket change, and a feeling of power and superiority. We have an opportunity here to get a hold of this problem. With stimulus funds being made available for public safety, we can make a focused effort on dealing with the horrifying problem of young people murdering and being murdered. We can put resources into policing that focuses on young offenders, that gets the perpetrators of violence off the street. And we can put resources into violence interruption, into crime prevention efforts that redirect young people and their often troubled families toward a life that is safer for them and their community. So much funding available from federal, state, and private sources now requires multi-level approaches and cooperation between different levels of government. We need to use those resources to build shared relationships across city and county lines, between police and prosecutors, and between the schools and agencies that serve the young people in our city. Which leads us to the third leg of the stool, implementation of the recommendations of the Gun Violence Task Force. For a year, a group of dedicated individuals spent hours delving into all aspects of gun violence, releasing a final report in January, a report that makes strategic recommendations for reducing gun violence. The recommendations are sound ones, based upon good research and efforts that worked in other cities. They focus on prevention, on using the resources that already exist in our community. Resources like hospitals, like colleges and universities, like people who have been in gangs and have had the wherewithal to get out of them. They use these resources to interrupt the cycles of violence. Too often, reports like this are published, discussed, and sit on a shelf. We can't allow that to happen. The first recommendation of the report is the establishment of an implementation team. At a recent Common Council committee meeting, it was recommended that that team be heavily weighted with practitioners, those with experience in administering programs similar to those cited in the report. I wholeheartedly support that recommendation. This is not the appropriate place for more political appointments. This is the place for those who know how to get the programs in place, who understand costs and benefits, who can help direct the governmental effort. Despite yesterday's announcement that the mayor has moved ahead with appointments without public input, without council recommendations, the Common Council should continue to pursue a team that includes people with the experience to implement the recommendations. We all know that there is no magic involved in public safety. There's no silver bullet available to stop gun violence. But there are a lot of steps that cities can take that reduce risks, that make us safer on our city streets. And if there's a theme running through my remarks here, it is one of collaboration. The police working with our neighborhoods to find local solutions to local problems. Police working with prosecutors in other jurisdictions to find and put away criminals. Our city connecting with hospitals and universities to bring their resources and expertise into finding ways to deal with the societal problems that lead to violence. We want our neighborhoods to be safe and to feel safe. Putting an emphasis back on community policing enables officers to build relationships of trust in the community. It gives us access to experience and expertise of our people and institutions. It helps prevent crime and it helps solve crimes. It's the right way to go. Any questions?
Thank you.